Hello, it is time for my August book haul. As usual, I'm going to start with my subscription box books. So the first one was from the first of the Illumicrate Afterlight boxes, which is an adult contemporary romance subscription box, and in that one we got The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, which follows a violinist whose boyfriend decides that he wants him to be in an open relationship, and so she kind of tries to have as many one-night stands as possible, and then she meets this really tattooed biker guy, and you know where it's going, so that's that one. Then from Fairyloot, I've got several books. So I got one box that came with 2 books in it, and then I had also ordered a special edition book from them. I ordered this a while ago. I cannot remember when. And the proceeds, like the profits from the sale of this book actually went to charity, so that's why I bought it, and that is XOXO by Axio, and it's a very pretty edition to begin with. The cover is lovely. We've got sprayed edges. It has a signed book plate there, and the cover art is actually printed onto the naked hardback as well, which I love. I love it when the cover art is on the actual hardback itself. And this one, I'll just go ahead and read you the synopsis for this one because I honestly can't remember what it's about. Jenny didn't get to be an award-winning, classically trained cellist without choosing practice over fun. That is until the night she meets Jae-woo. Mysterious, handsome, and just a little bit tormented, Jae-woo is exactly the kind of distraction Jenny would normally avoid, and yet she finds herself pulled into spending an unforgettable evening wandering Los Angeles with him on the night before his flight home to South Korea. With Jae-woo an ocean away, there's no use in dreaming of what could have been, but when Jenny and her mother move to Seoul to take care of her ailing grandmother, who does Jenny meet at the elite arts academy she's been accepted to? Jae-woo. Finding the dreamy stranger who swept you off your feet in your homeroom is one thing, but Jae-woo isn't just any student. Turns out he's a member of one of the biggest K-pop bands in the world, and like most K-pop idols, is strictly forbidden from dating anyone. When a relationship means not only jeopardising her place at her dream music school, but also endangering everything Jae-woo's worked for, Jenny has to decide once and for all just how much she's willing to risk for love, which just sounds super cute, to be honest. And the cover is super cute too, so excited to read that one. And then the other ones from Fairyloot are Afterlove by Tanya Byrne, which is kind of a sapphic dead girls romance. So that's that one. Super cute pink sprayed edges and signed as well. I don't know if I probably showed you that way too fast and you didn't even see it. There we go, it's a bit better. And then we have these Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, which has stencil sprayed edges, block colours top and bottom, foiling on the naked hardback, artwork on the reverse of the dust jacket, and it is also signed. And this one is a fae love triangle type story. There we go. So that's that one. Nearly dropped it. Didn't actually drop it, but nearly. And then the last subscription box book was from Illumicrate, and this one I've already read, and that's The Devil Makes 3 by Tori Bovolino. I read this virtually immediately. It's one of my most anticipated for the year, and for good reason. This was fantastic. I loved it. It follows 2 characters, one of whom is a librarian in this library that is full of grimoires, books about magic, but in a world that doesn't believe in magic. And then the other character is a magic user, and they accidentally free a demon from a book, and it's a little bit fantasy, it's a little bit thrillery, it's a little bit horror, but light enough that it didn't scare me and I'm a wimp. I loved this. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. This isn't a book review, I realise, but probably worth saying. This has sprayed edges. It's an exclusive edition. And signed, I think? Yeah. So there you go. I highly recommend this one. It's not super long, but it is super fun, and the audiobook is very good too. So, would recommend. Then we come to the books that I bought for myself. I ended up, on a pretty spur of the moment decision, meeting up with Abby from the channel Abby Salter. We basically decided on a Friday night that we were going to meet the following day, the Saturday. So we did. We went into London town and did a little bit of a bookshop crawl, is it what it turned into in the end. I think we were just planning on going to kind of one or two shops, and then we just ended up doing a whole load of different places. So we went to Goldsborough Books, and we went to Forbidden Planet, and we went to an Oxfam charity bookshop, and we went to Waterstones, of course, and also Scoob Books. And I picked up a number of things. Abby was much better than me. She only got one thing, and I got 5. What's new? Anywho, the first one I got was Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. This one, as you can see, was on sale in Forbidden Planet, and this is a sequel that I have been meaning to get to for ages and haven't because I didn't have a copy. Just because I have a copy doesn't mean I'm going to get to it any sooner, but at least I actually have a copy of this now, so I'm calling that a step in the right direction. This one is the sequel to Shadow of the Fox, which follows Yumeko, who is a kitsune, so half human, half fox, and she has to deliver this special scroll, and she teams up with Kage, who is looking for said scroll but doesn't know that Yumeko has it, and they're kind of travelling together, him in the hope of finding the scroll and her secretly actually delivering it, which is kind of funny. I liked but didn't love that first book, but I am interested in continuing on, so I picked up the sequel at last. Also in Forbidden Planet I picked up The Deepest Blue, another one with a sticker on it that I haven't taken off yet, by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the spin-off, you can't call this a novella, spin-off book to the Queens of Renthia trilogy, which I have now finished. I'll talk about that in my wrap-up. And this is set in a completely different place in Renthia, follows completely different characters, completely different storyline, but it sounds super interesting. I'm not going to tell you about it, this book specifically, because it potentially is slightly spoilery. I mean, not really, because it's a spin-off, but just in case. The first book, The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst in the Queens of Renthia trilogy, is set in this forest, and this forest is full of spirits who are destructive and they don't want humans there, and so humans with magic, who are all women, have to train to one day potentially become queen, and the Queen of Renthia is the one who has control over all of the spirits and stops them from basically murdering everyone. That's the premise, basically, for the first book and the series in general, really, and that's all I'm going to say. You should read it, it's great. Then from the Oxfam charity bookshop I picked up The Gift by Alison Croggan. This one, I have had the second book on my TBR shelf for years. Literally for years, and I have never had the first book, so I've never been able to read it. So when I saw this, I decided to pick it up so that I no longer have any excuse to not start this particular trilogy. The problem being I now have 2 books in this trilogy in my collection, and I have yet to read even one of them. But I don't even really know what this is about, So, Mayrad is a slave in a harsh, desperate settlement taken there as a child after her family is destroyed in war. She is unaware that she possesses a powerful gift, a gift that marks her as a member of the school of Pelennor. Battery died. It is only when she is discovered by Cadvan, one of the great bards of Lyrigon, that her true heritage and extraordinary destiny unfold. Now she and her teacher Cadvan must survive a punishing and uncertain journey, battling with dark forces from the deepest recesses of otherworldly terror. I just like the sound of this. It's kind of epic fantasy in tone, but YA in writing. It sounds like there might be kind of a training montage type thing, definitely a mentor trope. It's going to be very tropey. It's not going to be particularly original, I wouldn't have thought, but I'm still interested enough that I decided to buy this one. Plus, you know, it was £3, so. Then, finally, I bought 2 books in Waterstones. Those were The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I read The Poppy War in August and loved it. Again, this is not a book review, but yes, I loved it. And so I want to continue on. What is The Poppy War about? You've probably heard of it. Check the trigger warnings if you are interested. But it follows Rin, who basically goes to a military school. There's a little bit of magic, possibly. There's a lot of war. There's a lot of... It's basically based on the Opium Wars, so that kind of gives you an idea of the direction the plot is going, but I'd say it's much more of a character-driven story than a plot-driven story, but also potentially grimdark because the characters make some interesting choices, shall we say. I'm looking forward to continuing on with that. And then the last book that I picked up was entirely on a whim, but this is an author who I know has a massive backlist, and I've been really enjoying slightly more 90s epic fantasy, particularly by women. And I've basically, since I read the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, I've just been craving that. So I picked up the first Valdemar omnibus by Mercedes Lackey, which includes Arrows of the Queen, Arrow's Flight and Arrow's Fall. So it is a trilogy bound up into one book. I don't know, I just really wanted to give it a try, so I bought it. Not much thought went into it, to be honest. 13-year-old Talia longs for a better life, far away from her repressive stepmothers and the village of Senseholding, where books chronicling the adventures of the heralds of Valdemar and their companions provide her only escape. But when her family decide she is to be married, Talia flees and stumbles upon one of the very companions of legend, a magical steed with incredible powers. Talia soon discovers she has powers of her own, and together with her new companion she arrives at the Collegium to fulfill her dreams and train as a herald. But as Talia struggles to master her unique abilities, she unearths a deadly plot that could destroy both Queen and Kingdom. So we have a magic school and a magic horse. What's not to be interested in? Am I right? And that's it. I always say that's it at the end of these videos, like I haven't hauled way too many books as usual. There we go. Those are the books I've hauled. Technically, I have also hauled the entire Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan in the Orbit floppy paperback editions. I'm just going to insert a picture. I'm not going to drag them all out. They haven't all arrived yet, and most of them have, well, in fact, all of them have turned up at the beginning of September, but I might as well tell you about them now because this is when I'm filming this video. Basically, I had the first 5 in the black mass market paperback editions, and I decided that I wanted to get the Orbit floppy paperback editions, but I was told that they were reprinting them with a stupid now a Prime TV show stamp on them, and I just hate those stamps on books, and it'll probably be years before they're printed without that on, so I wanted to just go ahead and get them while I could still get them without the stickers on. So they haven't all arrived yet. I think I'm still waiting for books 1, 3 and 8 maybe, but the point is they are all coming. I've only read the first 3. I wasn't in love with them, but you know, I want to continue on. I do kind of want to get to the Sanderson books, and at worst they'll probably be pretty easy to resell because they're the nice floppy paperback editions without a silly stamp on them. So that was my justification. Also, when I rearranged my bookshelves at the weekend, I left a space for the Wheel of Time books, and it's not big enough. I still have 3 books to arrive, and there's really only space for 1 more. So I'm going to have to rethink that. But that's a problem for another day. This video got longer than I anticipated. Let me know if you picked up anything interesting in the month of August. I will see you back here again next month for probably yet another unreasonably large book haul. Don't forget to check out Ponderful Books down in the description, which is my personalised book recommendation service. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button. And I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.